Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Laura Canfield Show, the Create Your Life video series. And today we're talking to Connor Hill about going beyond mediocre to infinite possibility. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm so excited that we get to have these conversations. And what we're doing in these conversations is basically discussing the tools of access consciousness, using some of the simple basic tools that we can all use, but we sometimes forget to use them. And so it's just a conversation about how we can create more for ourselves, how we can truly live the life that we desire with ease and grace, and how can we go beyond our limitations, right? So being mediocre is really actually really hard, So when we talk about that, it's like it's really hard being mediocre, but we tend to stay there. It's so much easier going beyond, right? So we're going to talk about what that means, going beyond mediocre. So I'm your host, Laura Canfield, and I'm a healer, coach, author, host of Awaken Happiness Now and this series. And these are so much fun for me. They're so expansive, so light. I love having conversations and talking about what people use in their day-to-day lives. And if you have a question, you can raise your hand or and write it in on the Q&A, the chat box. And if you're brave enough, you can go on video and talk to us, right? So let's get started. Today we have Connor Hill on the show with us, and he's going to talk to us about really what it means to go beyond mediocre and create possibility. He has been creating and choosing a lot in his life, and really choice does create awareness, and choice does actually give you more possibilities. So Connor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Alara. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for setting this all up. This is really fantastic. And so I like the title of the series.
Absolutely. And when I thought about doing the series, it's like, oh my God, I want to do something that we can talk about the simple basic tools that we sometimes forget to use, and how we have used them. So I've been going to the experts, basically people who have been using these tools in their day-to-day lives, in their businesses, to create more for themselves. So Connor, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story and how you got started with Access first, and then we'll talk about what tools you use.
Yeah, so I first got started in like 2009, I think, somewhere in there. That time in my life was a little bit of a haze. So I was in college, I was in university, and my sister at some point in time in there asked if I wanted to have my bars run immediately after she took her first bars class. And I was like, sure. Or however I was like, and I did. It was just like, whatever, lay down and you touch my head, cool. I don't really, So yeah. I do remember with my first bar session getting off the table and being like really surprised that I fell asleep for 45 minutes, which, at the time was a really long time. Now if I have a 45-minute bar session, I'm like, God, it's so short.
Yeah.
Gee, that needs to be like 4 hours. So, and it's funny because I still see the same with a lot of new people that have never had their bars run. They're like, oh my God, lay on a table for more than 20 minutes. You're crazy. So, it was 45 minutes. And then after that, I felt really thirsty. So I just thought, I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Because I'm not like thirsty like I would be had I taken a normal nap or something. And I don't fall asleep easily or anything. And I fell asleep on my back, which I also at the time did not fall asleep on my back. So I just sort of took note that it was really different. So I didn't have like a life-changing right away sort of a thing. But soon after that, somewhere in there, my sister also then gave me a book that she thought I'd really like because I was really into my body, doing sports and seeing what I could do with my body and just random things like that. So she gave me Embodiment by Dr. Dane Here. And I read that book fast, like, at least for me. I read it in like 4 days, just 20 minutes each night, and just crushed the book, and really liked it in that for the longest time, I forgot that I had even read that book. And for the longest time, I forgot that I really, after reading that book, functioned from all the tools that were in it. I was like, wow, this is really cool. It really, spoke to what I kind of knew as far as, what I know with knowing now, at the time, not really getting what knowing was. And it really sort of, you know, as we say in Access, was just like telling you something that you already know. It just backed what I already knew. So I continued to function from those tools for years before. It was another 4 years before I really dove into Access and took like my first 2 and 3. And the second I took my first level 2-3 at what was a 2-3 at the time, with Gary, it was, I haven't really looked back since. I've been, you know, I think there was a while there I thought it was a lot. So I was going to one advanced class every 3 or 4 months. Now, you know, if I don't go to an advanced class in 1 month, I'm like,
missing out.
Exactly.
I just wanted to add really quickly, because this just came into my awareness. Soren, I don't know his last name. I mean, I could find it, but he's doing a book club right now with the book, with embodiment, isn't he?
Oh, he is? That's awesome. Really good. I'm glad to hear that. That's great.
Yeah. So if somebody is interested, look it up on Facebook. He's definitely doing a book club for embodiment. So.
Nice. That's really great. Yeah. I recently have not been spending a whole lot of time on Facebook, so I'm not aware of everything that's going on. I've been quite, as far as creating your life is concerned, and creating things, at least, I've been quite involved in creating apps for, as much as I can, access consciousness to really get it into people's hands directly, and working with Elugar, the apps, and anything else I can get my hands on.
And you know, and that's it. What's funny about that is that you are, by, you know, education, trade, whatever word you want to use, you are an engineer, right? So a civil engineer, right?
Engineer, yeah, exactly.
So when you say I'm creating apps, it's like, what? How does that have to? What does that have to do with civil engineering, right? But it's not. It's not like that when you're actually using these tools. When you're actually creating your life, it's not really. It's not always logical. It's not always rational. It's definitely not linear. So can you share with us, just start off by just telling some of the few tools that you use regularly all the time that have really changed your life?
Really? Oh, that's so good. That's a great question. It's like the simplest, like the one, and I'm not even sure if you call it a tool, the thing that I use probably 100 times a day is what else is possible. Like, I say it in my head, like, and it's not like what else is possible, what else is possible. I'm like, I was recently in a conversation, like a work conversation, and it was just like, actually, no. Oh, this is a fucking phenomenal story. So yesterday, Monday, whatever day it was, I'm flying from Sydney to the Sunshine Coast in Australia. And this is right after and we did an expo. We ran like 163 sets of bars. It was so cool.
I saw that.
And yeah. And the coolest thing, you know, as I'm sure you know, is like, and you've very well experienced, is what is the way in which you can function and what's required, like, will just show up, and like, you don't even realize, you're like, oh, look at me doing this thing I never thought I'd be able to do or be.
Yeah.
So I lucky me, my mom, so cool, she bought me a new Rimowa bag. So it is like the Ferrari of bags for traveling, right? And it has an electrical image on the side of the bag, such that, like, you can't do it yet with any other airline besides Lufthansa and somebody else. But you can put your check bag scanned thing on the actual bag, and you can do it at home before you even leave. So you don't even have to, like, you just walk up, drop your bag. Like, ideally, you walk up, drop your bag off, walk away. Well, I get up there, and I got to the airport like way early, like 6 hours early. I'm like, oh, why did I get here so early? Damn it. And I tried to move my flight up to the earlier flight. So I moved it up, got that done, paid for that, got up to the front of the, like, waited like a freaking half an hour in the bag drop line.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time I'm sitting there going, to speak of creating your life and living in mediocrity, I was like, I'm so done with
this
economy flying. Like 30-hour wait just to freaking drop my bag off. Like everybody in there's got problems out their rear end, and they're all like problem. And all the people that are working for it have problems. Like everybody's just got problems. And I'm like, geez, you guys are so annoying. I wasn't really that annoyed, but I was just annoyed by the fact that I had to stand there.
Yeah, of course.
And I get up there, and this kid, because he's definitely significantly younger than me at this point, which is interesting. I've been flying my whole life, and as a kid, the stewardess and the people at the desk that type, like they seem so smart because they have a job,
Yeah.
And this guy goes, yeah, I can't let that bag on. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, that is a dangerous goods. I'm like, what? No, it's not. He's like, yeah, it is. He's like, I've already passed like 10 of them up. So I've already made this story pretty long, but essentially I got very intense and I got so pissed, but I didn't even have to yell. I didn't have to do anything. I just got so like, but it wasn't something that was like, I was at the effect of. I wasn't like, I'm really mad and this is going to ruin the rest of my day. I was just like, and I was even like, sweet, this is awesome. People are like moving very quickly because I'm this pissed.
Intense.
And I was, I was very intense. I was like, I even at one point in time had 3 people coming up to me going, no, so sir, it's because this bag has something in it that if it gets surrounded by water, it will explode. And I go, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like, just, I'm sorry. Not really. It doesn't. You're wrong. I didn't say you're wrong, but the entire time using the tools and knowing how to function with people and being very intense. And I was just like, and I was very much in this point of view of like, this is not happening. And it was like a little bit energetically, it was like a little bit difficult. And if you're like, what do you mean energetically? It's okay. We'll get there in due time. It was just like things weren't moving in the direction I wanted them to, in that I wanted to get on the airplane. And not only that, they started telling me I needed to like remove this bag tag, put tape on it, like take out screws. I'm like, I'm not touching my super expensive bag. Not happening. So I call, I start asking what else is possible. I'm looking on my phone for some sort of news because I told them, I'm like, I would have found out. Do you remember when the Samsung Galaxy S7 exploded? Yes, everybody does because everybody knew about it.
Exactly.
Nobody knows. Nobody's heard about this. And so go through the whole bit. Either way, like I called Rimowa, they got it handled, and it really, the energy shifted when I said, leading back to why I even told this story in the first place, what else is possible? I literally just like, and opening it with space. Okay, what else is possible? While still being extremely intense and yet like externally being intense such that like everybody else was at the effect of my intensity. And I'm sitting there really calm, cool, and collected internally and asking, what else is possible? And then also looking at, God, would I be willing to let this go? Like, I'm not messing up my bag. That's one. Like, we'll see what else happens. But really, like, I'm not messing up my bag, and I'm flying out of here today. What else is possible? So it worked out. In the long run, it worked out. Rimowa is happy. Like, my bag company is happy with me because I called them, and they were like, thank you. We want to get this sorted. And then the airline was finally like, oh, yeah, okay, we aren't going to make people not get on an airplane because they have this bag anymore, which I was blown away. Like, I was like, you've turned away 10 people and not a single one of them said you're an idiot.
Yeah, really.
Like,
it's like, oh my goodness.
Exactly.
No.
So, but that's where I used to be with prior to the access tools. I would have been like, oh, okay, I guess you're right because you're the guy behind the desk typing on the computer. You
must know better. Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
So,
I totally agree. What else is possible is a great tool. It's a great question to ask. And I just want to state really quickly, when you're asking that question, what else is possible, you're not trying to figure it out. You're not thinking about it. You're just saying what else is possible, and then kind of waiting for the next sign or signal from the universe, from the people around you to get that question from you with that intensity and and waiting for them to respond, right?
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear you say that. And it's just because that is the most, if there's anything you get in access at all, it's what you just said right there, is you ask, you don't look for the answer, and you just see what shows up, which is like the most confusing thing for anyone to first get. I mean, that took me forever. Like,
especially if we are like always in our head thinking, right? Like I used to be one of those think, figure it out, right? But no, now it's like, you know what else is possible here? And then I don't wait too long because, like, you know, I'm very impatient. So it's like, and I'm very intense as well, you know? So like, even it's like when you talk about being intense externally, but being calm on the inside, well, I'm intense externally, people can see that, and I'm already, and I'm fucking intense on the inside. It's like, listen, this does not work for me. No, this changes. This is going to work out the way that I know it has to work out.
Yeah.
Right. And having that demand, you know, it's you could call that another tool as having that demand of yourself or of the situation that, no, this does not work. And this changes now.
Not fucking happening.
Yeah, exactly. Not happening.
Not fucking happening. I don't give a fuck what is going on. Like, one of my favorite things that I've heard Gary say is, who do I have to fuck? How much do I have to pay? And like, who do I have to give my firstborn child to? Like, who do I have to fuck? Who do I have to pay? Who do I have to give my firstborn child to make this happen? Yeah. As much as I fucks with people, and like, he's, I think he told somebody to actually say it. I think he actually said it to somebody one time, and they were like,
yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know if I would say that, but it's so weird though, you know. It's like, I function from that place of, no, this does not work for me. This changes now. I'm going to get it the way that I want it because I know this is the way it works. Whereas my husband, my poor dear husband, sleeping and, you know, cursing me right now, but he's like, he just goes with whatever people say. It's like, no, go back there. And you tell him, no, what else is possible?
Yeah.
You know, so try it.
Yes, exactly. And so, like, a little bit of a tidbit, maybe not a tidbit, but a big difference with it, and you don't have to, like, nobody has to make themselves wrong if they don't get it right away, is that like, my favorite person to watch for that kind of stuff is Dane. Like, his ability to get like more intense than you've seen. Well, like, Gary gets ridiculously intense too. It's just somehow the way that Dane does it, I'm not sure how to explain it other than, I don't know if Gary, at least in the past, maybe not so now, but Gary was always so much space that it was like, I couldn't even tell how to get to where he was or something. But like Dane, it's the intensity with tons of space, like outward. And that's where you get what gets created when you ask a question like, what else is possible, is you create space, you create possibility. And when you're being intense with space, it opens up the possibility. When you be intense with a direction, like impelling your intensity on an individual person, that's when they have to go into contract and defend whatever their point of view is. You don't, sometimes there are situations where when there's really no other direction and there's nothing else to do, it might be useful or whatever to actually get someone to start to defend their point of view. But there's a lot more possible, and there's a lot more that you can create when someone isn't defending their point of view, and you can be intense and ask the question, what else is possible?
So during that, I mean, so obviously, you know, I'm not being space in that moment. Right. I mean, I know that. It's like, I'm so intense, like, watch out. So when you're being intense and space at the same time, and if you lower your barriers, would that be even more helpful?
That's brilliant. Like, I'm not sure it's actually possible to have the space if your barriers are not down. Like, the second you put up any barriers, you are already like impelling that. You're doing like a directional, like what's it called?
It's kind of like forcing an issue, right? But it's so if you're at, so for me, this is just a thing for me right now. It's like, okay, so next time I'm being intense, the best thing to do is be intense, that's fine, and lower your barriers, and then continue ask what else is possible.
So yes, and I ask everybody, like, are you enjoying your intensity? Or are you like actually mad? You know, like, are you upset and mad, or are you enjoying your intensity? Like, this is so cool. Look at all these people run around like a bunch of little scared kids. Like, I am making them move.
True.
That's what was really cool. Like, oh my God, this is so excited. Don't smile out loud.
Exactly. So is that just this whole part of, what else is possible? When we use that for our life. So for example, yesterday, time goes by so fast, I lose track. But yesterday I was thinking to myself, oh, there's so many classes that I want to attend, right? It's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's like, okay, what else is possible, right? Because it's like, okay, I have to plan it in my calendar, schedule it, see what I can actually do, look at my cash flows, see if there's enough money to do it. It's like, all right, what else is possible? And then I was just asking that question, and I got the awareness for myself, and I got, with this intensity, if there's a class I want to go to, I'm going to fucking go. It's going to happen. No matter what it takes, I'm going to that class. So end of discussion, so it's like, that story, like, how am I going to do it? Blah, blah, blah. It's gone. It's like, I asked what else is possible, and the awareness came, no, you're going to do it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. If I want it, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. Simple. So this changes now, basically, right? So it's the same. It's like, and I wasn't, I like, when I asked the question, what else is possible? I wasn't sitting there still trying to figure it out. It's like, all right, what else is possible here? And then I went off and did some other thing, and it just came to me. It's like, yeah. It was,
and for everybody watching, they can watch this, and I suggest people to rewatch both as Alara just did that, because you can actually see the space that she was. It wasn't like, I'm going to this class in conclusion. It was, I'm going to this class with a space of a willingness to receive, a willingness to do and be whatever it takes to create that.
And then last night, my husband said, have you checked your bank account lately? He's like, no, why? I'm thinking automatically there's something wrong, right? Yeah. It's like, did something come out of my bank that I don't know about? So I went in and checked, and there's all this extra money there because he put money in. It's like, oh, yay, thank you.
Oh my God, it's the coolest.
How does it get any better than that? So it's like,
thank you for the reminder. Like, that's one of my favorite things, is just, it's something Gary talks about, where he's like, when you are being and doing what is required and you're choosing for you, like, money just shows up in the weirdest ways. And I have had money come out of, like, the places that you can't think of. Like, you think you're like, ooh, maybe I'll win the lottery. Maybe that's where it'll come from. But you're actually choosing for you, and you're choosing to create your life. Like, the money and the stuff and the, like, whatever's required comes from the weirdest places. It's like there, and then you're like, what? That was so neat. So,
and it's cool that way, because I'm not in any conclusion that money has to come from this source, or that's how I'm going to take the classes or anything. It's like, you know what? It'll happen, because I already said I'm going. Whatever class is calling to me and I really want to go, it's going to happen with ease. That's always my other thing, with ease. I like my life to be ease filled a lot. And so I noticed also that, I had asked to create something a year ago, and then just a couple of weeks ago, stuff started shifting and changing. And I said to my husband, it's like, oh, this is what I asked for last year, and I'm doing it now. It's like, oh, interesting. So it doesn't always show up in the same time frame as you would like, right? But it's like, oh, I asked for this, and now I'm creating it. It's like, how much fun is that, right? So it's like, it does, the universe does have your back, and it's about you asking for what you would like to create, what you would like to experience in your life, and what you would like to choose. So what are you choosing for your life to be, to go beyond mediocre to infinite possibility, and basically creating the life that you truly desire?
It really, for me, like, when you ask that question, I could go into what I've created in the past. And when I say in the past, I mean like very, very recently.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question, really fully answer it, is I'm not stopping. I'm not slowing down. It's like, because I just moved to Australia. Like you talked about the thing of like acknowledging that kind of stuff is like for a while I was asking, I was living in Denver and I wasn't sure I really wanted to live there anymore. And I had traveled all over the United States and it just wasn't working for me. I'm probably coughing because I started thinking about Denver. I'm like, oh, that's how my body felt. And you know, I'm in Australia now, and I had for the most part written Australia off as a location that I wanted to live. And then because I followed the energy on several things, I maybe even before I started moving here or before I started asking where the heck did my body want to live, because I thought for sure I'd be like, body, where do you want to live? And it would be like Vancouver, and it would be like, yeah. And I'd be like, I don't know, I'm going to move to Vancouver now. That's totally not how it worked out. I just like found myself here, and then I was like, oh, is this where you wanted to go, body? And it's like, for now. You know, so really, like, I could talk about that, and I just did.
Mm-hmm.
And more so is that, like, I wasn't on the call or whatever the class was that Dane did that was called Dissatisfied Dreamer. But I'm very much a dissatisfied dreamer. I mean, I've been in Australia for 2.5 months, and my life isn't nearly big enough. So that I think is the biggest thing, is like, I get so excited that I've created something that I probably never thought possible. No, I did. Like, I didn't think it was going to be as easy to move here as it has been. And when it started getting created and I got here, and with every step of like my work visa going through, it's like, I'm like, wow, that is so cool. And like very soon after, I'm like, grr, my life isn't nearly where I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I'm like, grr, and I'm like, oh, right, I don't actually have to like go into the wrongness of me, but I can enjoy the fact that I am going grr, that I want.
Yeah, and you know, and there's nothing wrong with wanting more. And I'm also one of those dissatisfied dreamers. I mean, my life is great. It's amazing what I've created, and I truly I acknowledge that. It's like it's totally, completely different than what I had ever imagined, ever. Right? So I know I created. I remember one time though, my sister says to me, "Why can't you just be satisfied with what you have?" You know, and it's like, because I want more. There's more I would like to experience. I want to have more. At that time, I was miserable. And I was like, and she wanted me to stay in a miserable marriage. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, so you know, so I was like, there's so many different things I would like to experience and do and be in my life, and you know, I just want to do that, and so I want to experience more. And so part of that, it's about asking yourself questions like, what do you truly desire? So.
Yeah.
And then getting the awarenesses, and then asking more questions like, okay, what would it take for this to show up? I mean, sorry, I'm the one that, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be asking you these things, but it's like, it's just coming up for me. It's what I've done in my life. But one of the things, and I hope I say your name properly, I'm so sorry if I don't. Torgen?
My name?
No, Torgen. Torgen.
I was like, really? You can say my name incorrectly? Even actually, it's funny because Australians technically say it incorrectly, like Kona.
Kona.
Yeah, that works.
No, because Torgen had a question about trusting herself and doubt. And, you know, doubt is, you know, Connor can talk about it in a second, but doubt is one of the biggest distractor implants that's out there, right? And trusting yourself, for me, just really quickly, when I started trusting my knowing and trusting what I desired and what was right for me, everything started to shift and change. Everything has completely, like, 360 degrees, everything, you know. So, you know, start small, right? Start easy, start with something easy, but definitely trust your knowing. Nobody else knows what's right for you other than you, right? So asking yourself questions. And so, Connor, you want to talk about that, and also about the doubt? That's a big one.
Yeah. You know, so like doubt is really, it's not just a distractor implant. It's actually the way you, I'm like trying to recall the exact words while also I'll just go from what I'll say right now is that it's the way that you invalidate your very being. It is a distractor implant. Exactly. It is a distractor implant, and it's in a way you've been implanted to invalidate your very being. Like,
wow. Yeah.
So everything that brought up times God was trying to create it all.
Yes. Oh my God. It's like
Pop Pog All Night Shorts, Boys and Beyonds. So that along with trust, like you literally just laid it down with what trust is. Like I was looking at trust for at a minimum a year. And it wasn't until it was just so easy for me, like when I finally recognized what trust actually was. And it was this interesting thing where it was like I had the words, like if there was a sentence to describe trusting me, 5 words or something, the same 5 words went into, oh, that. So it's not this, like, at least for me, it hasn't been this like I trust me, like everybody thinks that the word trust means like it's not that you trust that you'll do something. It's trusting that you'll create it. So just like you said a little bit ago of I know that it'll show up if I ask for it. You just know because, and it might take a few things for that to be the case. And then you'll still, like, I still go through those times of like, I'm so fucking doubting myself. Like Sarah Watt and I are looking at houses to get right now. And I'm like, I'm still paying rent in Colorado. I've got like visa costs to pay for. We've got facilitators class coming up. Like I've got a lot of expenses to shell out over the course of the next 2 months now. And she's like, we got to get this big house. I'm like, oh man. And I've been looking, I'm like, God, I don't know. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. Is that a question? No. Right? I ask a question. And I'm like, and I'm also aware of the fact that I've done the thing of like, what else is possible before? And then I'm like, well, I also never really like died. And there's also the thing of like being aware of my finances. So what I asked really today was, I finally just went, what is it? Well, I didn't, instead, like there's the 4 questions. What is it? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And how do I change it? So if you have that energy around something of doubt, ask those 4 questions. And like we said earlier on in the call, forget about it and let it just change. So, and the more you do that and the more you change from things, the more you will build that trust, and you'll just have the trust of like, okay, things might really suck right now, and I know it will change, as fucking scary as it looks, because I don't have quote unquote forceful control of the situation. I can't just like burn. It's just like I have to let go and ask and relax and let it show up, and know you can demand it. It's just that that's really what I recognize as building the trust, is like trusting me that like, wow, really, what Gary said, like the thing I looked at for a year, it was at minimum a year, if not longer. So if you don't get it right away, not a problem. Is that
you get it when you get it.
And only when you get it, is that Gary said, trust. He's like, trust is actually trusting that you will change, period. That's actual trust, is trusting that you will change. And so when you've changed enough and you go, okay, I know I will change. And then I'm like, I just hope I do it within the next 2 months. Right?
Yeah, I love that.
So, and then it's just, what will it take? And maybe be that intensity. But those 4 questions, and that's what I did today. Was it was like because I was doing this. I was doing mediocre, like nobody's business. I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
What else is possible? And I was like, and I looked at that energy, whatever energy I was being, and I was like, can I change it? And my body got so excited, like deep down inside, it was like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh my God, that's so exciting. So right now, that's what's creating more is, like 2 years ago, I guess it's been a little bit over 2 years ago. Probably two and a half years ago, I wasn't even paying rent. I was just traveling so often and working that I didn't have to pay rent. And I remember when I first started paying rent, I was like, oh my God, bills, like fixed costs and expenses. Oh my God, I'm gonna like be committed to something. So
and it's funny because when I'm living here I'm in Vienna, right? And we just moved into the first district of Vienna 2 months ago, and
beautiful.
Before that we were in the 9th district. It was fine, and one night it was really loud, and it's like, you know what, that's it, I'm done. Because I guess I had complained before. It's like, the stupid people are so loud, blah blah blah. And then I said, you know what, I'm done. So I said I'm done. My husband, the brilliance of him that he is for me, he starts looking for places, automatically. And he looks in the first district because that was our goal. One day we're going to live in the first district, right? That was our goal. And so he looks and he found some places. I called, because he wouldn't even call. He's like, we can't call now, it's evening or it's Saturday. Or it's like, you know what? I'm calling. And I made these appointments, and then they're emailing him and calling him, and who's calling me? And it's like, the people. Because he speaks German and I don't, right? The people. So within 2 weeks, we have this now amazing apartment in the first district, right behind St. Stephen's, like in the main core. And it's like, wow, that was so, and then within a price range that we could afford, and or that we were willing, like, it's like, yeah, that's a good price. And then since then, he's still been looking. He's like, there hasn't been anything else like that. But when I got here, it's like, oh, I like this. It's so open and airy, and the windows, and it's light, and it's right downtown, like right in the core. I love it. Oh, we have to get it. So, I told him, okay, go ahead, sign, tell her yes, And he's like, I don't know, let me check. We still have the other apartment, and the other apartment we will have until February. Still have to pay rent, right, for another 5 months or whatever. I was like, yeah, but this is really good. I really like it, right? So we got it. And it was like amazing because nothing has been this price point for this space ever, and the old apartment where we left because, like, I don't care, I'm moving, I'm out. It's like, because we're still paying rent. And then now that place, they had flooding 2 weeks ago. And so we had to move out. So we had to get out. So now our rent is done, so it's still like, it didn't take 5 months that we had to continue paying. We paid for another 2 months or something, but it's like, that worked out great. How's it getting better than that? Right.
That's a very good story. I like that one.
But it was me demanding, like, okay, this changes now. I can't live here anymore. And I think we want to live in the first district. And then when I tell people, oh, I live in the first district, they ask me, where are you? In the first district. They give them the address. It's like, wow, how did you, like, wow. It's like, okay. So I guess it's a big deal, even for my husband, right? Because he's from Vienna. He's always lived in Vienna, but he never thought he would live in the first district, right? So even for him, it's a big deal. But I was like, I love it down here. This is where I want to live. It was that energy, right? And me asking for that energy, demanding that energy, and when, and then taking action. That's what I wanted to share as well, because asking questions, what else is possible, all that stuff, trusting in the universe, trusting in yourself, that's all great. You also have to take the action, right? So my action was calling the people, the agents, telling my husband, respond back to them, and going to see the place, and then saying yes, right? So it has to be both, or all three, or, a combination of.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just asking questions, then waiting for the universe to plop
Yeah,
it
let me lay.
in front of you.
I'll just lay on my couch and ask questions.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So can you talk on that a little bit? Because I feel like I feel like people because I do a lot of shows, right, on healing and all that wonderful stuff, and people are all into the energy and all that stuff, and it's like they don't get it. It's like, yeah, do the healing, do the clearing, do whatever you got to do, and take action. Ask questions and take action when the action is necessary. Don't just do something to force something, but if you really want something, take some sort of action and see what happens. Choose and see what happens, right?
Yeah. I mean, a part of that is, and this is kind of separate from this is something I've come across, like across the board, is like, I'll just take this little thing that I'm holding, and now everybody gets to see my Wi-Fi code. But
okay, we'll use it when we come to Australia.
Yeah. So something like this, like where it says up at the top here, it says like, you'll need this to get your Wi-Fi going. Like a person had to do this.
Yes.
Like that is something I just come across that a lot of people seem to like forget if they haven't been involved with creating like an item like this. Like they just like think that these things might pop out of thin air or something. So it is taking action, and then also taking a look at like what action is required, because there's also the other side of the coin of like, you've got the two sides of the coin, that neither of which is the creative edge. And one of the side of the coin is you think that energy will create everything. And the other side of the coin is you're doing too much. Like all you do is do. So 2 years ago, I quit my job, and I discovered that really, like, I didn't know, having come from, school and being an engineer, and then as an engineer working in a business where it was just like, people just gave me work. Like, here's what you do, this, do this, do this. It was like, the only thing I really knew how to do was do, and like not actually create for a business. I had watched myself where I'd create, like, buy the product that I created from my doing, that created more for the future. But there's so much more to create more money flows, and to create, like, so as far as access is concerned, to create people coming to your classes. And that is also a part of the being. But, I could sit around and, make cool graphic-y things all day and not much would get created. So I did a ton of doing because I was like so freaked out. I was like, I'm not making any money. And I'm like doing, while also at the same time being like, I'm not sure this is going to create anything. So that's actually one of my favorite aspects of doing like self-employed and entrepreneurship is the awareness too that's required to, like, I realized today, Jesus, I was blown away. I realized today it's been a while, because I've, again, been doing a lot of doing. I've been very focused and not like expanded out attention, with having my attention on everything that's required. I've been very focused on very specific tasks, which Gary's talked about it in classes before, where focus is required to complete something and to create a result. And you've got to be aware of like everything that's going on. So I find, like I said, today was the first time I asked my business. I was like, holy shit, it's been ages since I've asked my business, what do you require? Like, I've been going, this is what my business requires. Why am I not making more money?
Yeah.
And now today I'm like, Jesus Christ, when the hell was the last time I said, business, what do you require?
Yeah.
Because like you said earlier on the call, like, you're like, I'm looking at my finances and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And what I've discovered is, like, I don't actually have to finish like my bookkeeping and doing my finances. Like, just the very fact of looking at, and like, as I start doing my finances, people start calling me for work, and they're like, I want to give you money. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I won't do this anymore. But just having that presence with everything creates so much. So what does
what does my business require of me today? And you can even ask that question for life. What does my life require of me today?
Exactly. Yeah.
And your body, right?
And what does the planet require of me today? Like, there's a same style of question is, what requires my attention now? Like whether it's if you're looking at business, like if you're looking at making money, what requires my attention now? What's going to make me money right away and in the future? And like, especially when I ask what requires my attention, like there have been times when I'm working and then I come to a point where I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I'm really tired. I think I might take a nap. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a nap. And you know what? Business, if there's anything that requires my attention, you let me know. 99% of the time, right when I lay down and I like turn on an ESC and I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to be great. It's like ring, like phone call or like a message. And the next thing I know, I'm like working for another 3 hours straight. I can do it all over again. So all you got to do is ask.
And that, but when you're doing that, you're no longer tired, right? When you ask the question, business, what do you require of me, and let me know, and then you get those nudges and so on, you start doing it, you're not tired anymore, so, right? The energy's back up.
Exactly. Yeah, that happened this morning. This morning I woke up at, I wake up at like 5:30 here, and I woke up at 5:30 and I was like, oh, I want to sleep for like another 3 hours. Who does this belong to? But I still want to sleep for another 3 hours. And then it was just like, and then I like looked at my phone or something, and actually I don't even think I looked at my phone. I was like, oh yeah, I got to make a phone call. And I made a phone call, and then game over, I was up from there on out. So
yeah,
it's too much fun, I think, is what it comes down to.
Oh, and I love that, because are you having fun in your life? Right? Is life fun for you? Are you doing anything that's fun? I remember asking myself the question the other day, it's like, you know what? I'm not having any fun right now. Something's missing here. It's like, oh, I haven't done anything fun for a while. So it's like, it's time to do something. So, so I have these conversations with myself, it's like, I'm not having any fun right now. Let's change that. Right. And then doing something that's fun for you. It could, whatever that means, right? It could be for me in the summertime, it was driving around a convertible. That's so much fun. I just absolutely love that. So like, I can hardly wait for summer to come back so I can do that again. But just walking around downtown, I love that. There's something about it. It's so expansive for me. I love that, or, going to a restaurant and eating, having something sweet, whatever, but do something fun for yourself, regularly, every day, and ask yourself, how much fun can we have and be today? I love that question, Torgen. Thank you. But, the question is, yeah, we have that. We're talking about it right now. We have that. Are you using it? Right. And so this is a reminder to you to use that, because when you're having fun, the energy of that fun permeates into everything, and your whole life starts to become even more joyful and different, right? And I don't. It's so it's so hard to imagine my life as it used to be in the past. 7 years ago, I was not having fun at all, not. And I was saying to my sister yesterday, she was talking to me about somebody how she just went to Spain, and then she went to Dubai, and then she's going to go somewhere else. I was like, oh, yeah, I had fun in Spain. Spain was fun, and I think I'm going to go somewhere fun in like the next month or so. And then realizing, wow, I'm living that life that in the past I used to see other people, traveling all over the place, having fun, having these vacations. Like, oh, I'm doing that now. How much fun is that, right? And it's like acknowledging that too, and really desiring to have fun for yourself and your body. So yeah, fun. So these shows are fun for me. I just love it. So
yeah. I mean, it also, like, one thing I'd like to point out too to people that are listening in the future is take note, if you can, at what Alara named this call. What was the name?
Create your life. Go beyond mediocrity to infinite possibility.
Yeah. So the coolest part was at the beginning of the call, I didn't even know what the title was. I remembered the image. So I remembered it had something to do with creating your life. And then you said the second part, going beyond mediocrity into infinite possibilities. And we didn't have to go here's the title, we're going to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
We said, here's the title. And oddly enough, we found ourselves talking about that.
Yeah.
And so that's what occurs when you're willing to receive.
And also,
and ask the question,
just to point out, we are constantly creating our lives, right? But are you creating the life that you truly desire? So that's right. We're always creating, as we breathe, we're creating every moment, every 10 seconds, we're creating our life. But are you enjoying this creation? Is this what you really want and desire, or is there something more?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a brilliant, brilliant point, because it was something I know one of G or D mentioned very recently, was that, like, because somebody asked a question about it. Somebody goes, well, is that where I'm destroying my life? And Gary goes, well, that's what, I don't know if he said it, but I'm like, for a long time, Gary and Dane would be like, this is how you're destroying your life. And I think it was just, they said it was just mostly because not much more than that could be received, at least by the whole. Maybe some people, but for the whole, not everybody could receive what the reality is. And it's just that it's not that you're destroying your life. You're just not, that's just the life you're creating.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Brendan will say a bunch is, he's like, what Gary told him is, if you don't create your life, this reality will create it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at, what are you creating? You might not be destroying your life, but what life are you creating by what you're choosing? If you're choosing to lie on the couch and just ask, what's that actually creating?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something else that you need to do?
Yeah. I love that. Absolutely. And so for me, creation and creating your life is so important, but it's so potent. It's such a potent question, and it's such a potent way of being in life. When you're actually creating it from consciously, or from your knowing, and what feels good, what feels expansive, what feels light, and and having fun doing it. So one of the things I wanted to share with everybody really quickly was also that Connor has a gift for everyone on the gifts page. I'll just type it in here, but if you're on the live page, you can just click on gifts. And it is a 2-part call that he did with Leeson called Forbidden Desires. So Connor, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, oh my God, this class messed me up. So for those of you that have not started facilitating, and for those of you that are bars practitioners or bars facilitators, or you have the ability to facilitate any class, the second you choose, and if you have been to COP, remember, you can do some sort of something that's less than 4 hours. Mm-hmm. The second you choose to do that, oh boy, does everything show up to allow you to change whatever's going on. So Forbidden Desires, this was the very first Forbidden Desires Lisa and I did. Mm-hmm. And it was an intro class to the day-long Forbidden Desires. So we ended up making it just the one, like it was like the same thing, because pretty much everybody went to the day-long. And then we did another 4-day-long or 2-day or 3-day, somewhere in there we did several mm-hmm. days of another Forbidden Desires. And we did more Forbidden Desires classes. But this intro class was, and don't tell anybody, but we're going to turn it into a book. Is that it's
I think I saw that on the Forbidden Desires page.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's really just a phenomenal class. In that one night, in the intro night, we got way farther than I thought we were going. I was like, whoa, this is where we got to. So enjoy, really do enjoy, and please don't give it to any of your friends, because they're not here, which means they're not willing to receive it, and mm-hmm. Because that class was so good, they will reject it. That's just how that kind of stuff turns out to be. Mm-hmm. So it's not kind to them when you do that, and then they really won't be kind to you. So that's my suggestion, and do what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is an honoring of the gifts that all of the speakers have given us. They're they're for you. When you signed up to the series, you have access to the gifts page. Just keep it for yourself, obviously, right? Because if they want it, they can sign up too, right? And they can get it. So absolutely. But thank you. And just the word forbidden desires, you can't have it, or like we're told so often we're not allowed to have something, or just by the stereotypes and the social contracts and family stuff. And so much stuff is forbidden. It's like, really? So for me, whenever I hear something like that, like something's forbidden or I can't do something, really? It's more like, watch me. It's like, don't ever tell me not to do something, because like if I want to, I'm gonna do it. So it's I'm one of those.
And the thing about that class was, for the longest time, I was like, I don't have any forbidden desires. I'm totally like, I don't have any. And then like 2 weeks before we did that class, I was like, So, forbidden actually means it's wrong to ask. For is wrong, and bidden is actually Germanic from like 1500s of ask. So it's everything that is wrong to ask for, everything you've ever made it wrong to ask for, anything in any past lifetime, in this lifetime, that it is wrong to ask for. So not that has anything cool going on.
Yeah. How anywhere and everywhere, there's so many places that we have been told or denied to ask for something, right? You can't ask for that. It's like, why not? But I say that now, why not? Why can't I? But we've all experienced that, from like all the people I mentioned already, parents and families and society and so on. Yeah, that's going to be pretty, that's a pretty hot topic.
It's very hot. Yeah.
It's really, it's intense, because we don't even realize sometimes that there was something that we wanted to ask and we couldn't ask, and we actually can ask, and then are we willing to receive it even?
Yeah.
Right? Asking is one thing, receiving is another totally big thing. So what are you willing to ask for and receive now for your life, for your living?
Yeah. Because what I actually became aware of with that class, if it wasn't that class, it was right before the class, what we really get to in the class is, and what this class helps for you, is it actually breaks apart the places where it's really interesting that you have actually created things that are wrong to ask for. And without having these things that you've already made it wrong to ask for, you won't let yourself be. You won't let yourself be you until you have these things that you've already made it wrong for you to ask for. And they're hidden. So it's like you've hidden them from yourselves. It's like this weird ass layer of like, so that's what this call does, actually begins to break apart all these forbidden desires that you've actually created for yourself that keep you from being.
Wow. And wow, really, that's can't even talk.
Now you know what I was doing 2 weeks before the class.
And it's like, it's for me, it's like, what? I just want to be me. But obviously I'm not being completely 100% totally me all the time. Because if I was, maybe my life would be even more fun, more magnificent, more crazy possible, right? More exciting, more of whatever it is that I truly desire. So are you being you, really? And where are you stopping yourself? And where are you stopping your creation for your life and living?
That's mediocrity.
Yeah. Are you willing to change that now? Are you willing to go beyond mediocrity and to infinite possibility, meaning you can choose whatever you desire? It's all about choice, right? So what are you choosing for yourself? I'm choosing more. I'm choosing more fun, more ease, more money, more connections, more something else. We'll see what that is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So were we doing an hour? Because I'm like, ooh, such a good point to stop on. And if we're doing more than an hour, then we can keep going.
No, we're only doing an hour. But
we're like, woo, punchline, boom.
I was just going to ask you, okay, Connor, so because we've already gone past our time, is there any last point that you wanted to share with us? Any last tool, any last process
I'm looking at like, because sometimes, you know, we can talk about things so conceptually, like we did a great job of doing stories, we like stories to sort of describe actual application of certain tools. I don't think so. I think we've done it pretty darn good. You know, what is it? What is it? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And how do I change it? And like I said before, for the longest time, let me put these over here, is those 4 questions. What is it? What do I do with it? Can I change it? How do I change it? I would ask, what is it? And I wouldn't get anything, so I wouldn't ask the next question. Just ask all 4 of them. Like, just go, what is it? What do I do with it? Can I change it? How do I change it? And just ask.
Just ask, and then see what shows up, you know? Yeah.
Boom. And you'd be like, oh my God, it changed. Yay. Like 3 or 4 days later.
Exactly. Right. And be aware of that. So be present so that you can actually be aware of how your life is changing and acknowledging that you are creating it, right? Creating those changes.
I do have one tool, one little play, home play for people. Watch the movie Arrival 5 times. If you have seen it 4 times already, watch it again. And the one thing I want you to note is where, because a lot of people don't get it right away, that the dreams that the girl has are actually a future, are actually her future that she eventually chooses. And so I talked to somebody that was like, yeah, but you know, that movie wasn't that cool. It showed that you can see the future, but it didn't show you how to change it. I was like, well, geez, come on. We're talking about mainstream people here. Like,
exactly.
It's brand spanking new. Like, hey, like, let's hold up a bit. So, like I definitely say I've seen it probably 10 times because I just love like the little tidbits. The first line in the movie is so brilliant, and you watch that movie 5 times, and notice where you maybe notice or something, but really look at, like, in the movie, it talks about how you can see a future, or like how someone sees a future, and actually how what happens as your brain gets out of linear thinking, that you do see future because you're no longer bound by time. So when you're no longer bound by time and you actually see past, present, and future all rolled into one, how do you change those? What is it? What do I do with it? Can I change it? How do I change it? Don't look for an answer.
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you. So I will check out Arrival and see what that's all about and watch it 5 times. And I love how, go ahead.
Because if you're seeing a future, that you are creating and you don't like it, what is it? What do I do with it? Can I change it? How do I change it? Are you aware of a future or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to say 99% of the time you can change it. I will leave that 1% out there.
I'll take from the words of the Gary Douglas. You can't see a future. You can only create one.
And as okay, we're going to leave it at that. You are creating your future. So are you creating the future that you desire and that you want and that you are going to have fun with?
Brilliant.
Right? Absolutely. Thank you. Because we could talk forever, right? We could talk and keep going.
Totally. Yeah. Because now I could talk about the future that I was creating when I was an engineer, and I was like, oh my God, 20 years from now I'll be like that. Fuck no.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's what I said in the government. Like, I can't do that. No.
Yeah. You worked in the government? Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And it's like, I can't. I just can't. When I looked at my future 20 years from, at that time, it's like, I can't do this for the next 20 years. There's no fucking way. I can't do it. I was like, no, I'm out.
That must have been one of those things that you just created just so you would force yourself into choosing more.
I did. I created my layoff. I got laid off and got a silver handshake. I'm not going to say gold, but silver handshake. I definitely created that. So
nice.
So we're powerful. We're potent. We can create whatever it is that we desire. Truly.
Oh, okay. One more. Uno más. Uno más. So, because we talked about trust and we're all about creating a future, is what Gary said, Vienna, COP, this in January.
I'll be there.
Has really, no, the most recent one.
Okay.
Like 2017.
I would
is there. He, you know, and this really helped me personally to go beyond not trusting myself or like trying to find trusting myself. Was he said, if you can find 5 things that you've created, that you know they've created, whether good or bad, and you know you created them, like you don't have to have any reason and justification for how you created them, you just know that you did. What makes you think you can't create the life you truly deserve?
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Oh, I'm sure you all can find 5 things that you've created. Acknowledge that. So you can create even more. I know I've created more than 5 things. So absolutely. I created this. Yay. Right?
Yes. Exactly.
Yes. Thank you so much, Connor. This was so much fun. And so many awarenesses came up for myself even, and wonderful tools, practical tools that we can all use to really create your life. Right? So my goodness. Definitely go back and watch this one again, because there was just so much information, not just information, but tools and process, and so much fun. So definitely watch this again and have fun with it. And, you know, what are those 4 questions? What is it? Can I change it? No. What is it? Can I change it? How can I change it? Anyways, I'm missing one, because obviously that
one is it? What do I do with it? Can I change it?
What do I do with it?
It's okay. It took me like at least a year to even remember the questions. And I was like, what are they again?
And I know that I can change anything. So it's like that question of, can I change this? Yeah, I can fucking change this. So it's like, okay, that's not a real question. How can I change this? Right? And then leaving it up to the universe and taking action. And asking what else is possible. And Torgen had said earlier, what's the next step? Ask that question. What is the next step? Don't try and figure it out. Don't look for it. Just wait and see, and it'll show up.
Instead of what's the next step, ask what's required of me.
What's required of me?
Yeah, because I don't have a great explanation. It's just that somewhere in there, what's the next step? There's I don't have a real answer for you. I just get a sense of like, what I'd like to say is, I'm not saying you're doing this when you say that, but it has an assumption that there already is a step. Right. That you're taking some sort of steps.
Right. And that again is the doing part again.
There might be a linearity involved or something. Well, it's not like a bad or a wrong question. It's just that asking your business, like, what do you require of me? Is a little more like if you asked your dog, what's the next step? The dog would be like, I don't know. It'd be like, if you ask your dog, what do you require of me? It'd be like, ooh, can you pet me?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Like, I get that.
So you've already, I guess, when I compare those two, I'm looking at like, what's the next step is more going towards like if you asked an autistic kid, what's the next step? And he'd be like, or she would be like, to go where? Like, what are you trying to, what? So what do you require of me is more of the business knows what is required, and also leaving open infinite possibilities to be created from that, because choice creates, and when you act, you create more possibilities.
Absolutely. So what is required of me? Ask that of your business, ask that of your body, ask that of your life, right? So all of that, what is required of me? Or body, what do you require today?
Don't ask it of your husband.
No. No way. Fun. I'm a princess. Don't you know? I'm a princess. I know. So I just want to, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your question. Thank you for being present with us. Thank you for just being here with us to share in, again, more tools, more awarenesses of how you can create your life. This is so potent, so powerful, so magical, because it is so possible for you. And both Connor and I shared some examples of where we have created our lives and how it's been magical and amazing and fun. So I wish that for you, that you will create a life that you truly desire, that's fun for you, that's ease filled for you, and that you really, there's joy, so what does your life require of you, right, to have more fun and ease? So thank you, everyone. I could talk forever, so thank you. And until next time, continue to live your life filled with joy, peace, love, abundance, and happiness. Sending you all much love and blessings. I'm going to unmute you all for a second just so that we can all say bye. And thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.